he's watching. Hi, my baby.
Welcome to another episode of Geek Bytes Podcast. I'm Ramon. Mejia.
I'm Edgardo Acosta.
And every single podcast we bring you the roundup of the week's best geek and tech news. We discuss that news. And of course, anything else that we're interested in that week. Now, before we begin, I want to give a big shout out to our newest Patreon supporters. We have a couple guys who have done some really generous pledging on their Patreon. We have Scotty Fooch, who is doing $1 a month. Jay Taylor actually upped his pledge to $3 a month. And Alron Khan is one of the top level supporters at $10 a month.
It's like squeezing boobs.
Yes, serious amount of support from these guys. Now we have some other Patreon supporters who have recently come in. We'll talk about them next week on the show notes. So,
but these guys are awesome.
These are some serious supporters. I mean, I just kind of if somebody's super generous, like maybe a billionaire, will support us at $10 a month, and we have not one but two guys. We'll talk about number 2 next week. He'll get his own shout out on the next week's podcast.
Yeah, it's the most money I ever got without having to take off my shirt.
Yes, I know. Just do a little dance.
Yeah.
And if these guys want us to do a little dance for them, okay. But again, if you guys want to support us on Patreon, you can do so at www.patreon.com/geekbytespodcast. Now, in geek news this week, we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff, including the adult friend finder hack, the Han Solo Princess Leia real life love affair.
Details.
Nintendo news on the Switch. So if you're looking for a price range on that, some things might have leaked. And of course, our opinions on some of the latest trailers that came out. We decided to call it a trailer showdown. So we'll decide based upon the trailers which one is the best. And we might put in some graphics at some point from like a showdown thing. So, but before that, that's going to be it. We're going to begin our show though with geek news.
All right, we begin with your friend finder got hacked. Attackers accessed more than 412 million user accounts at Friend Finder Network, including 339 million accounts at adultfriendfinder.com and 15 million deleted accounts, 62 million accounts from cams.com, and 7 million from penthouse.com were also accessed. The attack occurred near the time a local inclusion flaw on Adult Friend Finder was disclosed. The company was attacked last year, exposing more than 4 million accounts, although that breach exposed sexual preference choices, while the latest one does not. However, passwords were exposed in plain text or scrambled with the weak, SHA-1 hash function?
Yes.
Or SHA-1 function. So, all you pervy guys, you outs.
Well, you don't necessarily have to be pervy. This one is a kind of a bigger deal because the hackers didn't just get usernames. They got passwords. And so if you use that one password in multiple locations, whether it's associated with that particular username or not, they got your email as well. So it's an opportunity for people to data breach other locations where more important information might be around, like your bank account information. They might get access to your Google or your Dropbox accounts and do some really bad things there in your name, or just as a spam bot if you have an email account with that password. There's a number of opportunities for them to use that information and to do some very bad things, in addition to just showing that you're looking for hookups on Adult Friend Finder. So it's not great, but it was bound to happen if the security on this particular site is so bad. Like, they stored their passwords apparently in plain text form, which means they didn't hide them or encrypt them at all. So that's a security measure that seems like it should have easily been taken, just encrypting the passwords for users. But it was lazy security, and this is kind of the consequence. I mean, it's sad. I mean, it's people go there to having a time, enjoy each other's company in adult ways, and that's cool. But they shouldn't have to suffer, bad security because of it.
Well, it's just basic hacking skills at its work. There are some like any kind of website where you have to log in any kind of password. Sometimes you get the one where it actually will tell you if it's a weak password, strong password, or very strong password. And I kind of like that. Other ones, you're literally, like you said, people use the same password in multiple things. Sad to say, some people use the same password on their friend finder. It also gets access to their bank account. So, which is like, you should know better. But more of the subject matter of like friend finder. You know what? I'm opening them up. I've done it. I went on it to see what the curiosity would bring up. Some weird stuff, yes, but it's mostly just the basic things. You always kind of the part that was interested me. Of course, is you check your local hookups or whatever, see who's around. But you're always kind of, in my mind, I'm always afraid to find family members on there. Don't get me wrong. You have pervy friends. You have pervy friends. They're into whatever, spanking and cranking it, whatever, to some weird kind of stuff. BDSM, BBC, BBWs, whatever going on.
There's a lot of B in there, guys.
Just big in general. But yeah, my always biggest fear on any kind of dating site / adult site, whatever, is running into family members. Especially if you're the one that just likes to have the camera just right down there.
Oh, especially like because it's anonymous on Adult Friend Finder. They don't show their faces generally.
You don't have to. If you don't want to.
Yeah, and so it's even more of a concern. Like if you accidentally start talking to like a relative or a cousin or some person, and it's like, oh, hey, cuz, how you doing?
Yeah,
You finally show me the face shot.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, oh,
there, you're doing your thing, cranking it, whatever. You're finishing up. Oh, then towards the end, oh, let me see your face. Scroll up, and I was like, oh, hi, Tia.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those. I heard what you're saying, man. But I just realized that when we were thanking our patrons and subscribers, my mic was dead. So I'm gonna thank them again. So sorry.
You guys are amazing. I'll give you.
Yeah. So shout out for their names real quick. Scotty Fooch, Jay Taylor, and Alaron Kong, of course, who are amazing supporters. So guys, just want to thank you with the mic on. I kind of forgot about that, but thanks, guys. And we give shout out to the people who are watching in the chat room:
Marcos,
Franklin Dove, Edith Wolf, Marcos Bravos, and a gentleman we missed his name scrolled past. But
Franklin E. Dove, amazing for you guys to see.
Thanks, guys, for
seeing guys tuning in,
joining us. We're going to move on to our next story, though, which is going to be Google VR. Yeah, sort of. It's going to be Google Earth. This week, Google announced on its blog that it's bringing Google Earth to virtual reality by the way of the HTC Vive. With Earth VR, you can fly over a city, you can stand on top of the highest peaks, and even soar into space, the post detailed. Google detailed that specific experiences will bring you to the Amazon River, Manhattan skyline, the Grand Canyon, the Swiss Alps, and other locations. Earth VR will be launching on the HTC Vive, the Steam Store first, and it'll be available for FREE free.
Which is awesome. If you guys ever went on Google Earth, it was always of a trip, but the graphics at the time, and I say graphic wise, because you can only do so much detail, like say on a tree or on a building. Especially like I went to like Times Square, randomly just went in there, or went to a forest, and it's almost like PS1 graphics for when they do trees or certain buildings or whatever, like very, very basic geometric, even like almost like Nintendo 64 kind of quality. But what's awesome about it, you're getting to go on all these places. Pretty soon you couldn't even be able to go inside the buildings and do like little virtual tours. So you're literally, the world is literally at your fingertips, which is very cool. I love, I don't know about you guys, but I once again take advantage of going to the places that obviously can't afford or always wanted to see for myself. I wanted to go walk the streets of London, go to London. I wanted to take New York City. I've even visited like some, if you're lucky, in Google Earth, actually drove / walk around. I even visited some pueblos in Mexico, which I was like, oh, seeing old family members. If you're lucky, when they do that thing, you don't know when the Google card, so everybody's going to give you that awkward look at the camera. There's been some like really hilarious ones where they drove around some streets of Denmark or whatever, and there was just all these prostitutes just lined up. And it's just like,
It is what it is. But this particular story was interesting because at first I thought it was going to be kind of jinky, a little awkward in the virtual reality for Google. Because if you've ever used Google Earth, you know that you can already kind of look around with your mouse, or if you use your phone, you can move it around and see around you. But there is this weird transitional phase where you're like moving between spaces on the line, and the picture has to change. And I thought in virtual reality that just made it even more of an awkward experience. But according to the video we were watching and have it in the finished product for the podcast, it looks really clean and smooth. Like they took the extra time to smooth out those transitional periods.
Because it's like light speed, but
so
feet at a time.
Yeah, this way it's really a really smooth transition. Like it doesn't feel like you're take a series of pictures that have been put together. It looks like smooth, clean video, like you're walking through a 3-dimensional space. And that was always kind of the dream for the Google Earth experience, in my opinion. It is the opportunity to explore the world where it doesn't feel as artificial. I've done some really cool 360 video tours of like the Louvre and seeing the Mona Lisa and seeing Paris and New York with like someone with a 360 camera on a pole that takes, the video all the way around. And that was always kind of a cool experience. But in this instance, it looks even better because you can move through that space and there are no lines. There's no like pausing for the next picture to load. It was a very smooth transition. I mean, it is a promotional video, so you have to try it out when it comes out for yourself to see if it is as good as advertised. But that's kind of the dream of virtual reality, that you can, like you said, experience and go places you can't really afford in real life because it costs extra thousands of dollars. In this case, this is an opportunity to explore those locations in a much more comfortable location you can do from the seat of your home with a thing on your head, maybe play some cool music in the background. And so that to me was just kind of the cool part of this particular story.
Anywhere that you would want to go virtually because you'd be afraid to go there physically?
The South. So there, that I would like to go to the South and not have to worry about getting deported, maybe, or any of those political things where brown people aren't always welcome.
A lot of limited places for certain brown folk, but I want to see, and for obvious reasons, but I think it's going to be censored off as Area 51.
I would say probably any government locations are probably going to be censored. So those might be the ones to send drones into. Like, you can just like explore the map of the United States and any like blocked out area. Like, that's a special government facility.
Until it gets shut down.
Yep, and then it's just a different kind of virtuality experience. That's all it is. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next story.
The possible Nintendo Switch price. Nintendo won't be giving us more details about the upcoming Nintendo Switch console until January, but we're already getting leaks of the expected launch pricing. It almost seems too good to be true. According to a now deleted webpage from Toys R Us in Canada, the Nintendo Switch base model will be at $330 in Canada. That's the equivalent about $250 in US bucks. So we saw the little debut. Everybody's seen the little commercial, semi-promotional, I think, for the Switch. It looks awesome. Everybody just can't wait to get their hand on it. Yeah. And
now, if you're not familiar with what the Nintendo Switch is, real quick, it's a combination console handheld device. Like you can play it on your television like a regular Nintendo console product, but at the same time, you can also pull out like this tablet-looking screen with the controllers on the side. You can play it as a handheld device, but it's the exact same game, like the exact same files, exact same graphics that'll be available on the hand. So Nintendo's actually merging their console and their handheld market to the same product. So this is definitely a new thing from like the 3DS that Nintendo has. It is their best selling product currently. It far outstrips the Nintendo Wii U currently. So this is kind of a gamble for them because the 3DS is a cheaper product than the regular console. And this is something that's coming out, I believe, in March of 2017. But they gave us that price, and it's a leak. What do you think? What do you think of this price? Do you think it's a pretty reasonable price?
Yes, because we were wondering about it. Like, okay, when you price a system, we question, is it going to be a bundle package? What's it going to come included? What other extras do I have to buy on? Added controller, additional controller, added stand.
Well, this one apparently, these two side things are apparently two controllers. So it already has two controllers or one controller with, two-handed movement. Mm-hmm. So there is that potential possible. But you're right. Whether it comes in a bundle, like with the game, might change the price, or if this is just the stock model, or if it's the at-cost model. Because I think Nintendo made a statement after this leak happened saying, that's kind of our at-cost price. And so when they were selling the Nintendo Wii U, they sold it at cost because they were expecting to make their money back on the game market, on the video game products. And that just didn't happen. So it became a huge loss for them. So I don't think they're going to make the same mistake with this one. They're at least going to make some kind of profit on it. So I'm personally expecting the price to be closer to 300 than 250 at least, if not 350.
Yeah, just looking at it now, you see the controller positions. Obviously, the two little side little clips are two individual controllers, but the position is kind of funky for the joystick. Being being the quote unquote player one, looks good, looks decent where it should be. But I'm guessing it's the handles. Maybe they snap in or snap off or whatnot, because it looks like they're presentable in one image but not on the other image. But because that's what I was wondering, like player two always kind of gets the screw job on depending on how it's set up on the picture there. But we'll see, because even the docking station, that looks like it's going to be its own charging station. I don't even know if the batteries for like the individual controller is going to be one thing, or how it's all going to be connected together. But time will tell until it finally comes out.
Yeah, well, this thing is not a docking station. That's the actual controller for the one-person mode. And that is just the to-go part, or it's the secondary screen. That'll be a secondary screen experience, and like for inventory or whatever, and those are still the same control schemes. So there are apparently a bunch of different like modes for this particular Nintendo Switch. Like you can switch between handheld or sharing controllers, like making a two-player experience, or just playing by yourself with the larger controller screen. So it's very much a transformery kind of Nintendo product. So I think it's interesting. I don't know that if the gimmicky part's going to work out too well. It kind of depends on what the software developers do with it.
Just as long as Nintendo does what it always does, just be fun. That's all it needs to do.
Yes, be fun. Now, speaking of fun things, we're going to talk about our next story, which is going to be the very first Mario iPhone game. Super Mario Run is the name of the product. It will be available for iOS devices on December the 15th, just in time for that holiday season, for $10. It's a one-time fee with no in-app purchases. Users can download a free demo to try before paying for the full game. I definitely like that part. People with iOS 8 or later will be able to buy the game in 151 countries. An Android version will come at some point in the future, according to Nintendo. So there you go, folks.
It's a side-scrolling temple run, if you will. But it's honestly, all you're really missing is a controller. It makes me want to just really play like a traditional Mario game, which you can use the Switch controller on it or something else on it. But it's almost like a combination Flappy Bird, if you will, temple run, where Mario's just running from left to right. And you just got to watch out for the obstacles, traditional, turtle shells. I just don't know if you could be able to like throw fireballs. You probably have access to the star and be invincible for a mile time. But I would definitely take advantage of the download, because I don't know, $10, reasonable. But I think if it was less, if it was $5 or under, it would sell a lot more.
Yeah, but they couldn't start at $5. You can start at $10 and see how the market bears it. If people are willing to pay I think they're hedging their bets by giving out a free demo at least.
Oh yeah.
But they're definitely pricing this like a regular video game. I know a lot of people are used to free or 99 cents video games on the iPhone or phone devices, but those are never going to be this level of quality of game. Now, this is a free runner game, which means it's an infinite runner game, which means that your character just runs on its own and you press the button to get it to jump or to move in particular ways. So it's a new version of Mario, hence the name Super Mario Bros. Run. But all the graphics and all the characters and all the schemes are all very similar. They feel Mario. This feels like a Nintendo game, which is kind of the magic of it. That it's something that Nintendo made. It plays on your phone, and it's hopefully just kind of fun. That's kind of the core value of a Nintendo game. It doesn't matter what it looks like. If it's fun, people will buy it, and I think Nintendo understands that. So the $10 price tag, it doesn't seem too unreasonable, especially considering other big name companies coming into the mobile market. Final Fantasy games on the iOS and Android devices, $15, $10 very easily. But they're full games that are 15, 20 hours, like a regular video game is, as opposed to the hour experience of a lot of mobile games.
Yeah, I still talked about it before, and I can't wait till Nintendo makes their own official emulator app, so you can download all old school Nintendo games on it. Because don't get me wrong, the small little NES system that came out, it's awesome, but it's sold out. So good luck if you get hands on it. But everybody has a phone.
Yeah. I don't know that they're ever going to make an emulator so that you can download their old games. I think it would be a very smart move if they did, because then they could sell their older intellectual property games on modern devices like the iPhone, and they'll make a buck that way.
Oh yeah.
Instead of people pirating it or making their own emulators, I think it would be a smart. I just don't think that Nintendo wants to go into that particular market on the iPhone, because it would be a big hassle, especially considering the variety of Android devices that you'd have to prepare for, and then it becomes a technical service, and maybe they just want to water down their intellectual properties that way, because a lot of those older games just don't hold up to the test of time. But hopefully it'll be great. And I remember, folks in the chat room, feel free to talk and we'll read your comments. I think Edith Wolf was talking about the Adult Friend Finder comments, like awkward. So yeah, that would totally be awkward if you found your family there. So, but moving on to our next story, which is very juicy in itself.
As Carrie Fisher reveals the affair with Harrison Ford. In her upcoming memoir, The Princess Diarist? Okay. Carrie Fisher reveals what many fans suspected. She and Harrison Ford had an affair, which means one of them was married? Ooh. Radar Online published a handful of brief quotes from the book detailing how the two actors hooked up while filming the first Star Wars movie. Ford was 34 years old, and married at the time, while Fisher was 19. Whoa. Cradle rocker. According to her memoir, Fisher remembers being a bad kisser due to inexperience, and they first hooked up after she got drunk and had to drive her home. The story doesn't reflect very well on Ford, who Fisher also implied rather disappointing in bed. But he got away with it because he really was handsome. They ended up having a 3-month affair. It was so intense, the actress told People, it was Han and Leia during the week and Carrie and Henderson during the weekend. Wow.
This was just too fun not to talk about, and it's tangentially related to Star Wars, so it still kind of falls into our racket. But this was one of those long-standing Star Wars rumors that was never verified until Carrie Fisher put out her own memoir book. I'm not a big fan of the name of it, The Princess Diarist. I'm not sure what that's supposed to mean. But yeah, Carrie Fisher has I think most of her career has been filled with the weird party girl stories. Even talking to like Jay and Silent Bob, Kevin Smith, when he does his specials, when they were talking about Dogma and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, when Carrie Fisher's in those in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, there are stories about her being very interesting and Jay hitting on her in the car when they're filming that scene where she's a nun in that movie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And like apparently in between takes, Jay would hit on her and do his whole snoochy woochy thing, and try to flirt with her. And at some point, she just kind of called him on it, and he got scared. And Kevin Smith's like, I saw my friend. He freaked out, and I could hear what she was saying to him on the mic, but nobody else could. And it was just one of those fun experiences that you're one of those really fun stories. But yeah, Carrie Fisher apparently when she was young was quite the party girl, and I understand her being attracted to Harrison Ford when he's in his prime. So I mean I'm kind of sad that it was an affair, but it happens all the time on sets apparently. I mean it's hard to turn off those romantic feelings that you're projecting just when the camera goes off.
Because especially when you have your quote unquote on screen, no relation, no whatever hookup, then eventually you try to keep it professional. It's like, how many times can you have a love scene with a person, even if it's just a kissing scene, and as much as you want to keep it professional and like act like, oh, just doing the job, going in there, have at it. It's like certain porn stars, they fuck each other, yeah, but they're not necessarily in love with each other.
No, that's absolutely true. And again, those emotions are hard to turn off. Edith Wolf in the chat room says, lol, oh my God, must not have been that bad. 3 whole months. I know. Like if he was that bad in bed, I don't know that she would have stuck with him. She's like, oh, he's handsome, so I'll just have to deal with it.
She just wants bragging rights, like I banged Indiana Jones kind of.
Well, I don't know that she really wanted bragging rights because she doesn't talk about it until, what is this, like 40 years later?
Well, she's either dying or just needs the money. Sorry to say, because
this might be like the last strike for her to put out a memoir book. I'm sure she talks about a lot more than just the Star Wars stuff because she has had a very long career. But this is definitely one of the juicier parts to get sales. I mean, I understand that as a reader and as an adult, that this hook will be enough to get a ton of Star Wars fans to read her memoir book. And this is probably the last opportunity because of these movies coming out again. This is like her last hurrah.
Well, remember during that era too, she was like crazy coke binge. I wonder if she like snorted a line of coke off his dick.
That is entirely possible, folks. We'll have to read that book to find out if that's the case. But yeah, it was the times when there were partiers. It was the 80s, man. I wasn't around, but apparently that was the thing, according to Ralph Garman.
You're around.
Well, I was like 2.
Exactly.
So I was around, but not that around.
Exactly. But yeah, I just remember hearing like one of the scenes that they talked about, not scenes, but a lot of people say if you ever pause certain scenes with Carrie Fisher, you'll notice she has that really long coke nail, and it just gives you a little sign of how things are. That's why they're all tweaking, having a good old time.
Good old time on stage. Okay, on to our next story, though. We're going to talk about the Inhumans. Looks like the Inhumans movie is no more, folks. Marvel has just announced that seemingly instead of it being a movie, it's going to turn into a TV show on ABC, starring Black Bolt, Medusa, and the Inhuman royal family. Their series will be co-produced between Marvel, ABC, and IMAX, which is kind of weird. But the first 2 episodes we're actually going to share and premiere worldwide across IMAX compatible theaters in a 2-week exclusive window before airing on ABC in fall of 2017 as a weekly series. According to sources speaking to The Hollywood Reporter, the Inhumans first season will run for 8 episodes, short series, and the series will not be considered a direct spin-off of the events in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So that's interesting.
Because this is pretty much Marvel's take, or Marvel/Disney's legal take on superhuman/mutant-ish.
Yeah, they can't use the word mutant. They can't use the word X-Men because they do not own the rights for that on television or movies.
Or Fantastic Four, which is
Fox owns the word mutant, apparently.
Yeah.
For television and movies. They don't own it for the comics.
Yeah, it sucks, though, because it would have been an awesome storyline, especially if they got the rights back for Fantastic Four. Because there was always these awesome storylines between Fantastic Four and the Inhumans. They've done it in the cartoons, and it just would be an awesome transition. But I'd like to see how they're going to work, though, especially the effects with... hopefully it's not that bad. But for television, graphics are always kind of like so compared to movie quality graphics, so like especially the CG, is Medusa. I want to see her hair in action. That's the one I'm really looking forward to. As for the other ones, obviously Black Bolt is just the major badass that his slight whisper can shut down a whole city, can just bring it down to ruins. So I wonder how they're gonna kind of like tame it down for him. And of course the modifications they always do to him, like modernize the outfits, because that's the thing. There's more masked characters in the Inhumans than there are like in other ones, like the X-Men. A lot of the X-Men mostly been exposed faces, not counting comic book version Wolverine.
Well, yeah, the movie versions don't want to lose out on the facial features of the highly paid actors. They're not paid just because they're good actors. They're paid because they're good looking and people are attracted to them. So why cover all that up in a mask and lose out on that fan service?
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, the Inhumans storyline is always interesting because they've been talking about it on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is an ABC show. But apparently they're doing something different from that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Inhumans versions of it. And maybe that's good, maybe it's bad. I wasn't a huge fan of the Inhumans storyline on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It took place over the course of, I think, almost 3 seasons. And it extended it way too long, in my opinion. Like this latest season of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where they're talking about Ghost Rider, that to me is a much better storyline than the Inhumans thing, because it was so vague and wide, and they didn't invest in any core set of characters the way they could have, and I think that was a mistake. And so the fact that they're getting their own show entirely based upon the Inhumans, I think that's a much better storytelling opportunity than just kind of tagging it on to an already successful franchise.
Just can't wait for it to come out.
Okay, on to our next section. It's going to be movie trailer showdown. Which is the best? We have the best trailers that came out this week. We're talking about Justice League Dark Trailer, Beauty and the Beast. The Ghost in the Shell trailer finally came out, guys. I mean, I'm super excited about that being the case. and Full Metal Alchemist. There's a very small teaser trailer that came out for that live action version of Full Metal Alchemist that's being made overseas and going to come to the United States. So those are the 4 top picks, man. Which one did you like the best?
I don't know. It's depending on what catches your eye. I like Full Metal Alchemist because I was a big fan of the show. Beauty and the Beast because of course it's like Disney, but I wanted to see more of the. I wish it was live action instead of animated. The Justice League Dark.
Okay, that's pretty fair. I mean, I understand all those points. Which one did you like the best, though? If you had to pick one, and that's the movie you're going to watch based upon these trailers, which one trailer do you think won this week?
Honestly, I'm going to say Full Metal Alchemist.
Okay.
Even though the quality wasn't as great as once again the CG quality and all that, I just like the storyline. I like the concept. I wanted to see more of it.
Yeah, no, Full Metal Alchemist was very interesting to me. I have to say, I'm a huge Full Metal Alchemist fan. I'm wearing the T-shirt right now. The trailer to me was not. It didn't show as much as I wanted it to. I of course want all the special effects. I want all the transformation things that happen there. And I didn't quite get that. And one of the biggest things about that storyline is the love between Edward and Alphonse. Elric, the brothers in the series. Part of the draw to me is not just a story of the magic and that particular thing. It's the family story. Mm-hmm. It's one brother sacrificing everything to try to help transform his brother back into a human because they made stupid decisions as really young genius kids. And they sort of touch on that in the trailer, but to me that wasn't the most impressive trailer in my opinion. To me, if I had to pick out of the 4, I would definitely say that it was the Justice League, the Dark Justice League trailer. I actually liked it better than I did the Doctor Strange series movie that we've seen recently. It was, there's still that magic element but you have a rated R version of this. It's Constantine and Batman, 2 of my favorite characters in the DC universe, and they finally are going to get a rated R version of their franchise that they kind of deserve because they're very dark series. You also get some other magical characters like Zatanna and Edgar, and I can't think of what's the guy in the red suit? Deadman. Deadman is also going to be in here in this particular series, and it's definitely magic based and dark stuff. And I'm happy to see a rated R original storyline for the Dark Justice League. That to me was more exciting than the Doctor Strange movie, which was okay. I did not like it. I just didn't love it. And I'm hoping that I love this animated feature a lot more.
Yeah, that's what I said. I kind of wish they went live action because especially if you watched Arrow, that's when they showed a live action version of Constantine, which was really cool compared to, of course, the Keanu Reeves Constantine, which I liked as well too. It was just something different, It was just entertaining and dark version of the magical dark realms with killing demons and all that, and just showing all these markers. It was just really good. It was just something that you're not too much tech based, because that's the thing about with the recent superhero movies that we watch. Everything was tech based, which I love. Don't get me wrong. I love to see Iron Man be in a bunch of billion versions of his armor, but I also like to see the dark arts kind of thing, to see what's beyond the realms of other planets, other dimensions, that kind of thing.
And Edith Wolf agrees. Justice League for the win, or Justice League Dark. In this case, the Magic Justice League, as I like to call them. Now again, there are 2 other trailers that we'll show you guys: Beauty and the Beast and the full Ghost in the Shell. Beauty and the Beast look pretty decent to me. I have to say, they do almost a scene for scene remake of the animated feature, and I think the thing that brought it home for me the most was the music. It was it's classical sounding bells, chimes. It felt very Disney to me, and I loved. That's definitely one of my favorite Disney films, in my opinion. Just the storyline and the music, and it was the first time they really used 3D animation in the core feature. To me, though, one of the downsides of that particular trailer was the way that Beast looked. That the Beast looked, I should say. He didn't look like the same Beast from the animated feature. He looked a lot more humanized. To me, when I saw him, I'm like, is that He looks kind of like a satyr, or like
A buff
or
satyr.
Krampus.
Yeah, Krampus.
He looks like Krampus, yeah, a little bit. So I'm like, ooh, is this a dark Disney version? I can see a lot of fan films coming out where Beast turns into Krampus. Like there's an alternate world version where he he doesn't get the girl and he becomes a bitter old man. He becomes Krampus. He like moves away to like the north and becomes the Krampus character as an alternate universe storyline for the Beast.
My thing is, yes, some of the transitions did well. The one that kind of like bugged me, to be honest, that I wasn't too happy with, is the way they didn't miss his Potts. They had her face on the sideways shot. Her nose was not the spout.
Yeah, no,
Which,
a lot of the inanimate objects were very flat faced. I
yeah.
noticed that as well.
But it was an interesting take on him because traditionally in the animated version they wanted the Beast to look more like Buffalo-ish, but also he doesn't look like the if you ever remember watching the live action TV series of Beauty and the Beast, it wasn't the Ron Perlman cat like kind of beast.
That was the one with the girl from Terminator, right?
You think so? Yeah.
Yeah, that one. I remember seeing that one on television and actually enjoying it quite a bit. It felt more like Phantom of the Opera
Oh yeah.
than Beauty and the Beast,
Oh, yeah.
in my opinion. But again, the Disney version hadn't come out at that point. Now, the last trailer we're just going to show you guys is going to be the Ghost in the Shell comparison. Unless I forgot to put it up, which I did.
No worries, but if you guys see that was
Yep,
cool.
I forgot to load it.
No worries.
So sorry, guys, but it's a really cool trailer. I gotta say, I loaded up a video where they did a side by side comparison of them. We have it in the show notes if you want to go watch it. But they did an amazing amount of technical work in matching not just frame for frame matching, but also styles and tone, and actually making it better than the animated version. Because to me, Ghost in the Shell epitomizes the idea of a cyberpunk world, especially when it originally came out. I think it was in the 80s, maybe early 90s. When it hit American audiences, that set the tone for most of the cyberpunk stories that came out thereafter. Like it epitomized the visual qualities, some of the tones and themes of artificial intelligence, machine learning, minds, what it means in the future, a bunch of cool things like that. It really set the tone for it. And 20, 30 years later, whatever it is, where you're doing a live action version, if the fact that they captured that same kind of technical awe that the animated version has is absolutely stunning to me. Because for me, the thing I love about animated features is the limitless possibilities that's possible with the paintbrush or the pen that you just can't do with live action a lot of time. There's just a technical infeasibility of creating a realistic 30-foot robot, or doing invisibility, or creating an artificial robot. And the fact that technology has come to the point where you can match and even exceed that if you put in enough money and detail work, of course, is a testament to the people who are making this film, and the fact that they want to make it as faithful as possible to the original Ghost in the Shell. And again, these are clips. This was the longest trailer, but again, they did a really good job of matching it scene for scene, and I can't complain about that.
My favorite part on the trailer, especially the side-by-side comparison, is where she's laid on the table, not being worked upon, but it looks like where she's being lifted, and it looks like they look like flower petals, but like her skin kind of breaks apart, and it just all goes up. Looks like an awesome cherry blossom.
As they're making her body,
yeah, like
basically,
a reverse effect of it, it lifting up, and it just was so amazing. Because that was one thing that I was surprised that they transitioned very well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Again, there's a video on YouTube we have the link for it, where they do the side by side comparison between the animated version and this one, and they match up moment for moment, cell for cell, and it looks beautiful. And I think the live action version actually does a better job of it in some respects. The downside, of course, of it being a major motion picture is the fact that there are no nipples. Scarlett Johansson has no nipples apparently in this film because she's a robotic body. Spoilers. But in that creation portion of it, there's no nipples, and in the anime version, there's nipples. That's the only thing I can say. And a quick shout out to TV Perez, who's watching us. Hey.
Hey, sir, how's it going? He'll be attending the Friends Thanksgiving that I will not be attending because of sleep and work. But anyways, movie-wise, it's gonna look great. Honestly, unless it goes horribly bad in some part or just really poor editing, which hopefully it's not one of those stories where like the trailer was better than the whole movie. Hopefully it'll turn out well.
That's the downside of creating great expectations, is that if you don't fulfill them, fans are really going to be pissed off, because this is definitely a fan favorite for anyone who's into cyberpunk, into animation, into good anime. There are multiple series based on Ghost in the Shell anime series that I particularly am a huge fan of. So if they don't get it right, they're gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if that studio burnt to the ground mysteriously. But that's going to be it for the show, folks. We're out of time. That's it. We appreciate you taking the time to listen to us and watch us. You guys are amazing and awesome. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being a part of our little show, especially the folks in the chat room who make this interesting. Thanks, everyone. That's it, though. And again, if you want to support us, there are a number of ways to do so. You can find out all the ways you can do so at geekbytespodcast.com/support. That's the place, guys. Thanks again. I'm Ramon Mejia from Geeks Byte Podcast.
I'm Edgar Acosta.
Remember, folks, to go geek out about something. And I have to press this button.
Thank you guys for turning in. All right, see you guys. Go geek out.